Hello, welcome to From Head to Heart and Home. This channel is created by women for women to empower them to take inspired action with your hosts, Shanda Ceretti, certified coach, and Carla Center, and I am a subconscious healer. So, Shanda, today's topic, imperfect action.
Mm,
I'm super excited. I don't know about you, so let you start.
okay. So, as the listeners may know by now, Carla and I just kind of come on here and spur of the moment go with whatever seems to be on our heart, which is also very suited for this channel from head to heart and home. And so today we are talking about imperfect action. And this is also something that both of Carla and I are both working on. And I do believe that we're always working on something like this, right? We're always taking imperfect action, at least action, to create whatever it is that we want, to whatever results we want or experiences. So um, I love working on this imperfect action with clients because I remember being at a place in my life where I was afraid to take action. I didn't know how to do it or what it looked like or was supposed to look like, and wanted a step-by-step process to follow so that I could do it just right and just so and cross off all the boxes and everything. And I learned somewhere along the way that what's more important than taking action is taking imperfect action. So, I can't remember who says it, but jumping before you're ready, right? Like taking the leap of faith. And it's all about knowing that you will figure it out in whatever way that looks like, and knowing that you actually don't even need to have all the answers up front. So you get to show up messy. You get to do something that inspires you, even though you might not have every single little detail nailed down. And I believe that that is truly where the most beautiful and impactful results are created, is in that place of kind of like allowance and openness for creating space for organic matters and organic things and ideas to unfold. What do you think, Carla?
I do too. And when I think about taking an imperfect action, because I would be, and I've seen clients who have for many years, once I know this, once I've done that, I will go forward. And it's like watching and feeling like you're on a hamster wheel. You are just putting all this energy into preparing to do so that you can have the perfect action, yet never taking any small steps in the direction of having that action happen. And it's like being at the ocean and the waves are coming in and you're waiting for that perfect wave. And then
Mm.
you're like, ooh, that one, nope. And then eventually you've been standing there all day and you need to leave and you've never once stepped into the wave,
Right.
and so the energy that we spend trying to make the perfect step is so exhausting when we could create amazing things, taking the first step, the imperfect action. The It is messy, and then we learn stuff and we might even find out that that's not the thing we want, but whatever we find in that messiness is something even better that we really want even more.
Yeah. This is reminding me, your analogy of the wave reminds me of something my son asked me this morning on the way to the bus stop. He asked me, Mom, what does the word hesitate mean? And I love that so much. So I told him it's kind of like a yes, no, I'm in, I'm not, ooh, right? It's this like back and forth wishy washiness, which we talk about sometimes here on this channel. And I think it's such a great analogy of that in and out, because like you said, it's not only where we're spending energy, but we are we're, I don't want to use the word wasting because it could lead to something else, but we're spending more energy than what we need to be spending, right? When we're in that hesitation, wishy-washy, indecision, trying to make everything so perfect. And what I find too, I don't know if I could say 100% across the board, but let's just use 99% across the board, is that when we are trying to take perfect action as opposed to embracing imperfect action, we get stuck in that phase of getting ready to get ready, right? I
Yep.
know we talked about this before too. And this is why people feel stuck. They're like, I want to get here, but I don't know all the steps yet. So they don't step forward at all. They might know the first one step or the first three steps, but yet they don't step forward and take that action. They want to wait until they have it all mapped out. And like I said before, I was there too, and I can still catch myself there sometimes. But it's about being like, you know what? I have an idea, or I feel inspired, or I want to do something. Let's just do it and figure it out as we go. And like Carla and I have shared before too, there is so much beauty in making mistakes and fumbling and failing forward and falling down and learning the lessons. Because, like Carla just said, those lessons that you learned by falling down may not have come to you had you not taken that first step in the beginning, right? So you might not get to that original result, but you will definitely end up somewhere even more magical than what you had started out to create in the beginning, right?
Right. And sometimes you take one, two, three steps, and then the one that you're like, oh my gosh, this one I don't have down. And
Mm.
so you keep taking one, two, three, one, two, three. And I've watched people that they get to a point and then that one step and they've made progress, but that one step is like, oh, I just can't do this because I can't do it the way I have been told to do it, the way somebody else says it needs to be done. By the way, sometimes our way is better than somebody else's for us.
Mm.
So don't get stuck in how somebody else did something. Take imperfect action and find your way. And then that could take you way further than the place where you stop because you're like, okay, well, it's going to get messy here for me. And I saw this other person just step right through it gracefully. That's okay. That's their way of doing it. That doesn't mean it's your way of doing it. When you step through, you will find your way.
Mm. Yes. I love it. And it's like the idea of just letting go, right? Letting go of the need to control, letting go of perfectionism, which, by the way, what the heck is perfection anyway? Who says, right? Who's the one that declares that's what that is, or this is the exact way to do things, right? We're all very unique individuals. We have different styles of learning and creating and doing things and receiving things. So let's embrace our own unique process, right? And just doing things messy. I truly, it was a stretch. Okay. It was a stretch. I won't lie and say it wasn't. But like being able to show up with, my hair in a clip and some blue light glasses on and just recording for the sake of getting the content out there is something that I cherish. And Carla's right there with me. We do this together, but it's just about showing up and honoring your word and staying committed and fulfilling the things that you said that you would, right? Because at the end of the day, it's action that creates results.
Yes.
Inaction creates nothing. Inaction creates more of the same. I shouldn't say nothing. Inaction creates more of the same. Action creates different results. So if you want to change something or, have a different experience or put yourself in new situations, you have to be taking action. I was talking with a client this morning on a coaching call, and she was really frustrated with her results. She felt like she should be um, a further ahead, or she felt like things weren't working for her. And so we got talking about it. And she's like, I'm doing all these things. And what we found out was that, yes, she's doing all these things. She's consuming a lot of stuff through coaching, listening to podcasting, she's journaling, stuff like that. But we actually uncovered that what she's missing is actually implementing and taking the action. So there was a quote that I heard a while back, and let me see if I can share this. I think I might have shared it before, but it's so good. It's if self love says, I love you, self care says, prove it. Okay. And I wanted to share it because that prove it piece. It's like, if we want a certain result, we need to prove that we want that thing.
Right.
And I think the best way for me that I've experienced is whatever that result is, if I can make that a no matter what, meaning I will not stop trying to achieve that result until I create it. So it might take longer than expected. It might not look the way I thought. I might need more support than anticipated, or maybe not. You know what I mean? But going after it until I get it. That's how we create those magnificent, impactful results in our lives. And again, it comes down to that imperfect action piece, right?
Right. Right. And and perfectionism is a trauma response. So
Mhm.
somewhere most of us have been taught that somebody else's opinion of how we do it is more important than doing it.
Mm.
We want the validation that we did it the right way. And that's what keeps us from doing that imperfect action. Somewhere, someone has said or done something that made you feel like when you take imperfect action, you're wrong. It's wrong to take imperfect action. It has to be perfect or it's not good enough. It's
Mm.
not enough. And it feeds into our not enoughness that we
Right.
are holding on to. And so the beauty of going like, I matter. What I want matters.
Mm.
So I get to take this imperfect action without judgment on myself and not really caring how it turns out and what others say about it. Because guess what? I'm stepping forward to what Shanda's saying. I'm stepping forward and creating something magical that I want.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like, I think one of the reasons why we don't do things, it's that perfection piece for sure. And underneath all of the inaction is always an emotion,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
It's an emotion we don't want to feel. It's a reaction we don't want to receive, like feedback we don't want to receive from somebody, which then generates an emotion and a thought. So it's like if we can learn how to embrace our feelings, no matter what the feeling is, and truly understand that, first of all, we are in control of how we feel. Now, that being said, if we haven't been able to yet achieve those results of being in control of our feelings, right? We can at least understand that, okay, sometimes people can make me feel a certain way. Okay. And it's through their actions that is creating a reaction inside of me. So if I can learn how to process my emotion, which is what's generated through someone's feedback, it creates a thought and an emotion. If I can learn how to process that without being triggered or reactionary to it, then I can have a very, very different result, right? I don't have to feel bad because somebody said words that I didn't enjoy hearing or that felt uncomfortable. It's like
Right.
at the end of the day, understanding that an emotion is a vibration or a sensation that we experience in our body. And if the worst case scenario is feeling discomfort through a sensation, I'm like, that's not too bad. Right. So I always like to say it's that temporary discomfort versus the long term discomfort. So if you're not taking action and you're not creating the results you want, you're going to feel discomfort because you're unhappy. You're
Yeah.
not getting where you want. You're not achieving what you want. That's uncomfortable. That is not happy. Versus if I take imperfect action and I do the thing anyway, even though I might feel temporarily discomfort, if that makes sense, temporary discomfort, knowing that it will pass. So it's like if you're going to feel uncomfortable either way, not doing the thing, doing the thing, why not do the thing and get to where you want to go?
Right. Because if you want to stay in the comfortable discomfort,
Yes. Yeah.
you can continuously make excuses. Like I absolutely could have when before we were recording today, my cats were flying all over. My cat, she wanted to talk on the mic. I'm telling
Ah,
you before we came on. There's always little things that you can use for excuses. There really is. I didn't get enough sleep. I didn't, we find those excuses on why, and then we go to the comfortable numbing of our comfort zone,
yeah.
and then we don't, like Shanda's saying, I mean, it's in either way you're going to have uncomfortable feelings. the inaction will, the discomfort will last longer, because that is, you're creating more of what you've always had,
Yeah.
or more of what you've had currently. But
Mm.
this discomfort's leading somewhere else, and you don't know what all that holds. I mean, Shanda and I both have like made huge jumps that were scary as heck, been very uncomfortable. And afterwards, we're like, wow, I didn't know it was going to lead to this.
Mm. 100%. And I feel like, I almost feel like there's a misconception around this idea of like, we shouldn't feel uncomfortable and we shouldn't, ever feel anxious about something, and we shouldn't have all these feelings. And it's like, no, no, no. We get to have those experiences because I believe our emotions lead us to where we're meant to go if we are willing to listen to them. They stretch us into our highest capacity, right? Into our highest version of ourselves and what we can be. And life is uncomfortable. So if you're out there trying to strive for a life that's comfortable, I can guarantee you that you're not going to achieve the things you want to achieve. Like it's unfortunately just not how it works, right? In order to create the impact that we want and whatever that looks like for you, we need to be willing to put ourselves in uncomfortable situations. Like sometimes having the relationships that we want require us to be uncomfortable in having certain conversations, right?
Yes.
Sometimes if we want to grow our business, it requires us to have uncomfortable conversations around money and asking for help or support or loans or whatever that looks like. Sometimes if we want to have, get married or have a family or have children, we have to have those uncomfortable conversations with people. So I want everybody to like just really attune to the idea that life is uncomfortable half the time, right? Life's 50-50. Brooke
Mhm.
Castillo says that that's like one of the big things that she preaches. She's super successful, by the way. And if when we can wrap our brain around the idea that life is 50-50, 50% of the time's good, 50% of the time will be challenging. And that gets to be okay. So it's like if you can get through the day and half the day was good, you are solid. The week, if you can get through the week and half the week was good, then you're solid, right? So let go of this need for perfection and complete happiness and everything is just comfortable, and see what else is out there waiting for you. That's where the excitement is for me. Like Carla and I share, we've been at this for a bit. We've been putting ourselves in uncomfortable situations continuously for years now, and results show, right? Every time you're willing to do that, it gets easier next time and you go bigger next time. You're like, ooh, what else is possible? It's like you keep opening a bigger and bigger door. So don't shy away from things that are uncomfortable, because again, these are where our biggest lessons are waiting for us, right? It's like stretching you into that next level. So be curious, right? Reframe your brain instead of being scared or anxious or nervous. That's okay too, but retrain your brain to start looking for like the curiosity, like, ooh, don't you want to know what's over there? Don't you want to know what's waiting? Don't you want to know what opportunities are right around the corner? And get excited.
Right. And what I was just thinking about is that um, one of my mentors, she was talking about how sometimes we have to hit rock bottom to come up. And she
Mm,
said, if you think about it like a swimming pool, if you're slowly swimming down to the bottom and slowly swimming up, you don't usually do that. She goes, but when you hit that bottom, you push off and give every bit of energy you possibly have to get out of that space. And
mm,
so when we're not taking our imperfect action and we're just sitting there, eventually we will take action. Maybe not the one that we thought we were going to, but that discomfort that we just don't want to be in, the ones that are like, I'm unhappy in my relationships. I'm unhappy in my job. I'm unhappy. We just sit there until it just, the energy in it makes
mm.
us, we have to get out. And then we will take action
Yeah.
and we just rock it up. So why not take it now before you get to that spot where you're like, I just can't take this anymore.
Mm,
I can't do it. I'm so unhappy. I'm so miserable. I have to do something.
mm,
Right. But we can do it now. We can take that action. We don't have to be in the place where we're so miserable that we feel like the only thing we can do is take the imperfect action. We can
Right.
do it any day, anytime.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, I remember hearing, I think it might have been Tony Robbins, but I could be wrong, and that's okay. Um, but somebody once said that there are two reasons people change. People change because they're inspired to change, to take action, or it's because it is the last resort. That's that rock bottom that you're talking about, Carla, at the bottom
Mm-hmm.
of the pool. And I can say that I have been in both places. I have hit the rock bottom and bounced back. And I've also been inspired many times to change without needing to get to that place. And I will tell you that creating change from a place of inspiration um, feels a little bit more light. We'll just go with that than
Yeah.
hitting that rock bottom. But sometimes it is completely necessary to hit those rock bottoms to learn those lessons and actually do the work that it takes. And the other thing that I wanted to add was action generates energy. I wrote this down. Action generates energy, which then creates inspiration, okay, which then boosts your confidence and then acts as like a fuel to keep repeating the process over and over and over. So again, you do not need to be ready to take imperfect action. Yay! How exciting is that? We don't need to be ready. We just get to do it. We only need to be willing to do it. So for me, when I hear the word willing, I'm like, ooh, yeah, okay, I want to walk towards that. That feels pretty good. But when I hear the word ready, I'm like, oh, hang on a minute. Am I ready? I start like checking myself and getting up all in my head. Am I ready? Overthinking, trying to check off all the boxes, comparison, all the things. So we're going to let go of being ready and we're going to invite the imperfection and we're just going to be willing to try whatever it is that lands in our lap. And by acting on those things, we will create the energy that will inspire us to keep going, like fuel to a car, right? It's like currency. And I can guarantee you, just start and take a few actions, simple things, just start doing them, and you will find that momentum. And then all of a sudden, you're going to be chugging along the tracks, and you'll be like, holy cow, I don't even know how I ended up here, but this is good. And you're like, I got some traction going, and like, here I come. Woo, woo, right?
Right. And even if you step through and take that imperfect action and then you find it's not for you, instead of spending all that energy on getting ready to get ready, you'll all of a sudden like this isn't right for me and something else will come along, right?
Right.
It's that putting the energy into like just creating what you want your life to be.
Mm.
I think it's beautiful when Shanda talks about this, like just the momentum, and just think about yourself. You will be, even if you're just stepping, taking slow imperfect action, before you know it, like she said, you're going to be just chugging along.
Yeah.
And if this action wasn't the right one for you, now you know,
Mm-hmm.
right? And something else is the right one for you.
Yeah.
And that's that. It's There's no right or wrong.
No, I don't believe there is either. And I almost feel like, if anything, sometimes we choose the wrong action so that we can get to the right one. And
Yes.
sometimes those wrong choices or actions lead us to the people who are supposed to help us create the thing, or whatever, manifest the thing into this world, right? Sometimes it's not like a solo project, like Carla and I with this channel. This isn't a solo project. This is something that we've come together to create. Had I not met her a couple of years ago, we would not be here right now, right? So it's like looking for those nuggets in everything, always looking for the lesson, looking for the silver lining in every single opportunity. And it might not be like, oh, well, this wasn't the right choice for my business or my life or my career or whatever. No, but maybe you met the right people, right?
Yes.
Maybe you got into the community that you needed to surround yourself with in order to create the thing, right? So always looking at like all the opportunities, not just single focused or narrow focused, right?
Right. and not thinking linear.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't even talk, because this step might lead to this step, might lead to that step. Like when I met Shanda, I had a a government job, and I did my healing business on the side, right? And I had to quit this job to go to the program that Shanda and I met at. And my plan was just however many clients I could get. They made all these promises, whatever. And I did not go like this. I have been like this. I have had amazing clients. I have met amazing people that have contributed to me growing as a healer. And like Shannon, I've said, our relationship has made a difference in each other's lives. She has challenged me. She has made it so that I think differently. And because I was somebody, I've trained in a million things. And then I would, if I come across a client, I might speak about it, afraid to share that, even though I know how to do it.
Mhm.
And we do that. We think that everything should go this way. Here is where I'm at, here is the goal, and it's just going to go this way. If I make all the perfect steps, it'll go this way. I don't care how good you are at the steps somebody else gave you. We all go like this. That's just how it works. That's our journey. That's how we learn. And
Yeah.
some of the things are so exciting when we step through them, and they're not what we thought it was going to be. And it would never have fit on this line.
Right. Yeah, it's like I think it was Paula Abdul, one step forward, two steps back, right?
Yes.
I think I mentioned this in another recording, but it's so perfect because again, some people could look at that in a negative way, like I took one step forward, now I feel like I'm taking two back. It's like, okay, that might be the case in how it feels, but what if it's really because you missed something at that last step, right? You zoomed by it, or you were attached to a specific outcome or result, or being too controlling or whatever it was, you had your head down, you were distracted, you just zoomed by. So what if the two steps back is so that you can circle back and pick up the thing that you didn't pick up the first time around?
Right.
So it's like, okay, what if the universe is just always encouraging our growth, never against us, always encouraging our growth to the point where it's like, oh, hang on a second, Shanda, hang on. You forgot something back there. Turn around, go pick it up. All right. And so it's giving you the opportunity, presenting you with the opportunity to go and do that. I think that's beautiful, right? And I also think that it's a much more compelling way to live our life when we're trying to look at things from that point of view of how is this working for me? Always, never how is this working against me? How is this working for me? It's like being solution focused versus being problem focused.
Right.
When we're problem focused, we will generate and create much different results and outcomes than if we are solution focused and oriented, right? Our your perspective is just in a different place. Your mindset is different, right? So like challenge yourself to look for the good, challenge yourself to have that positive mindset, especially when things don't feel so good.
Right. And as we've talked about before, if you stay problem focused instead of solution focused, you will draw in people and things that will reflect all of that, and it will keep you in that space. But if you are solution focused, if you are looking at what's the possibilities, what else, you will draw in people and things that will bring solution for you. It really is the energetics of who we are, and our choices are so very real. And if you just stop and think about the people you've drawn into your life, and you'll be like, all these people have the same. If you are very problem focused, you will draw in more people that have the same problems as you into your
Yeah.
life.
Mm.
And if you are solution focused, you will bring in people that have had experiences similar to yours, and they have stories to share with you of triumph over those.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, that leads me to like an action step for anybody who's listening who wants to kind of stretch into that next level and really start doing what Carla and I are talking about here today, really implementing this imperfect action through this action step would be through like stretching your brain. But think of a challenging experience that you've experienced, right? You might not want to start with something that might have been traumatic, but think of something that was challenging. And ask yourself the question, and I would even say write it down and actually write it out like a journal prompt or something like that, bullet point, whatever works for you. But ask yourself, how is this working for me? Right? So whatever the challenge was is presenting you with an opportunity for growth. So how is this challenging experience working for me? And then just open up to that question, stay with it, and just start writing all the things that come to mind. You might even be surprised in what starts to come out. And I always say, don't question it, don't try to change it, don't try to make it not be there. Just let the pen glide over the paper and release the thoughts and the feelings around that question and see what comes up.
And what I always tell my clients when I have them do that, Shanda, is don't judge it.
Right.
Don't be like, how am I doing this right?
Mm.
Never ask yourself if you're doing it right.
Yeah.
Just do it,
Right.
because how it looks for you will look different than how it looks for somebody else.
Right.
The beauty in the imperfect action that we're talking about, just doing it.
Mm.
That's what we're talking about. So absolutely do what Shanda said, but don't be like, am I doing it right? Just let yourself go. You will be amazed at the things you write out,
Mm.
and or the things that people say to you. I mean, I'm sure Shanda has the same as me, clients on a weekly basis. There tends to be a theme,
Mm. Always.
right? Yep, there's always a theme. People have things and they don't know each other. They don't know their clients of ours, and they have there's a theme. And so I look into my own life. Where is this showing up? And
Mm.
I also just start writing, like Shanda's saying, because things come up and you're like, huh, I had no idea. I never stopped to see that or
Yeah.
think that or feel that.
Yeah. So the not judging it aspect is super important because we're not trying to be right or wrong here, right? We're just trying to get the information out so that we can look at it from a higher level.
Mhm.
Because if you truly can let yourself kind of get lost in the paper and just write, you will likely end up writing things that you didn't even know were in there. And that's where the gold is, right? I always say you have to ask a question several times in order to get the truth. So ask yourself, how is this working for me 7 layers deep? Um, and just stay with it. And if it feels redundant, awesome. That means you're on the precipice of figuring out what the gold is for you. Okay. So that's kind of the action step that I want to encourage you guys to do, and let us know how that works for you and what comes from that and what you learn. We're always excited to have you guys share with us in the comments below, or you can send us messages, whatever works for you. We are very easy to find on social media. So, yeah, I mean, challenge yourself, stretch yourself, and do it in such a way that is so imperfect, so fun, so free. Like throw your hair up in a bun, right? The mom bun, the messy bun, and just take the action, do the thing. And I mean, across the board, right? Like, let's stop judging ourselves and criticizing ourselves and just do the things that are on our heart so that we can actually show up in the world the way that we're meant to.
Right? Because honestly, our biggest critic is ourselves. So
Yes.
if we
Like,
let that go, yeah.
it's likely that whatever we think and feel about ourselves and how we're judging ourselves, other people aren't. It's just us. That's an us thing, not a them
Yeah.
thing,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. It's the meaning making that we have to do, that Shanda and I talk about. You're putting meaning to it. So just make it okay.
Yeah,
Don't judge yourself, and see what comes out of it.
yeah,
You'll be surprised. We'd love to hear
yeah,
what comes out of it for you.
yeah. So takeaway that I want to leave everybody with is, and this was super supportive last week with my clients, so let me offer it to you this week. It's okay. It's okay. No matter what's happening, it's okay. Right? You feel disheveled, you're not put together, it's okay. And keep going. Do the thing.
Right.
Right? I don't feel the best. It's okay. Do the thing. You'll be okay. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's okay. It's okay to not present what's not your truth,
Mm,
right? To
yeah.
just present who you are, and know that if you're editing it, then you're not being fully you. So imperfect action is fully you,
Yeah.
right?
Yes. I love it. And the other thing too, I think the key to imperfect action is that when we take the imperfect action, we're acting out of inspiration.
Yeah.
Right? We're acting out of that spark. Um, like I had shared, I think it was a few weeks ago, around an initiative. I had to keep going back to that initial spark to keep fueling me to keep taking the action. And that's okay too. Like you're allowed to remind yourself why you're doing the thing, why this is
Right.
important, and like kind of top up your fuel tank, so to speak. So stay connected to that spark of inspiration. And that will be what helps you to take that imperfect action without needing to make it look perfect.
Right. That's beautiful. And just know that spark is you,
Yeah.
right? That
Yeah.
spark is you being you and not trying to be somebody else. And that's part of the beauty of it. As
Mm,
you just keep coming back to that spark is like, okay, this is me and I'm doing this.
yeah.
I'm doing this no matter what it looks like.
Yeah. Yeah. And trust that you'll figure it out along the way. The
Right.
trust is the cushion. That's the comfort. That's the only comfort you need is trusting in yourself and the universe and carry on your merry way.
Right. Right. And if we as children were the way we are as adults, we would never learn to walk, talk, any of that because we stumbled every bit of that. All of us did.
And kept trying.
Yep. And just kept trying.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Yeah. Is that your last little bit, Shanda?
Yeah. I mean, I could keep squeaking things in there, right? But I'm like, no, I feel complete. I feel like I really want to stretch our listeners to go do the journaling exercise. So if you're open and willing to stretching a little bit, then I want to encourage you to go do that homework.
Yeah. And just see where it takes you. And like Shanda was saying, if you want share, we love to hear or reach out. You don't have to do it in the comments. You can. We love comments, but also reach out to us. We're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, we're all over the place. You can find Shanda or I, and we would love to interact with you. We love to interact with our listeners, and we just love sharing our conversations with you. So it's time to say goodbye. So goodbye from head to heart and home. And if you enjoy our conversations, don't forget to subscribe. And we're excited to have you listen in on our next conversation next week. Bye for now.